how did you get into Formula drifting?
I've always liked drifting. You're familiar with like Fast and the Furious Tokyo Drift?
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
That's basically where everybody's seen drifting. I was in high school when that came out, and I was very much into cars, but drifting was something that you would do when your tires were bald, you know. But originally, as I was developing myself as a driver, doing track days, you know, going to the track as much as possible, I became an instructor. And eventually I started racing. So I took drifting kind of as a new skill to develop. And I always liked it. And the thing is, like, when you're racing or doing track days, it's slower to go around the track, you know, drifting. But when I was instructing, the corner workers basically knew that you know, whenever my tires were bald, I was going to do a drift lap and come in.
Yeah.
So that's what I was doing kind of like before the whole drifting thing started. And then I saw a kid I was in a Subaru club back in the day, that I saw he posted on social media that he was doing drifting on the same tracks that I was racing in. And I had never heard about it. So right there, I hit him up and I'm like, when does this happen? Let me sign up. And I got a car and I went to basically just to get that skill. Things went little by little. I started drifting a bit more. I started learning more about the community and making friends. And eventually I joined a competition, which I won. So it kind of like gave me a lot of more support on that area.
Yeah.
Also, it's a lot more funner when you go to a drift event than a race event. It's kind of like you actually get spectators.
Oh yeah.
Racing here, it's or like on the grassroots levels, it's very, you know, it's just the people that know you, and it doesn't have that much following. Obviously, it looks funner to watch. It's like you know, smoke, tires. It looks like everyone's out of control. So because of the amount of doors that started opening when I started drifting, I left racing and I went more into drifting.
How old were you? I mean, when you
Oh, this was 20. So I was doing NASA, which is like a racing championship, in 22, and that's the year that I won that championship, and I started drifting at the same time. So yeah, I didn't really get to drift until 2022, like in a competitive level.
Age 22.
No,
year 2022. Got it. Yeah, that's what I'm trying to figure out. So, wow. So it's been like 3 years.
3 years that I've been drifting competitively at that level, yeah.
But to get into drifting, like, generally, does someone have to have this background in racing before you try to transition, or are there people that are just plunging in to drifting right?
The majority are people that like just plunge in.
Yeah.
I started drifting in 2019.
Yeah.
That's when I just did a couple of events, trying it out. And right after I started drifting, like 6-7 months later, I went to Japan because I wanted to, like, you know, get the whole experience of drifting. And it is true that Japan is basically where drifting was invented. And the community for drifting over there, it's massive. So yeah, 2019 is when I started drifting, coming from, you know, just racing. But it was there just developing, you know, a separate skill or like an extra skill. Yeah. So I did start late.
Walk me through, like, just like you went to high school down in Florida?
Yeah, I went to Doral Academy down in Doral, Miami.
And then during that, I guess, your younger years, like, you get your license, obviously you're 16 years old in Florida. Is that when, had you already had any interest in racing and while you were in high school?
Yeah, ever since I was a little kid, I wanted, like, Power Wheels. I was like, I burned like 3 motors on there. I really wanted to be into go-karting, but my family didn't have the means to be able to afford that for me. So when I got my car, I got a Ford Focus when I was 16, and I started doing something called autocross, which is essentially, it's like the cheapest entry into racing, and it's kind of like a time attack on a parking lot with cones. So it's very slow, you know, very entry level, but it's kind of like how I got into it, because it was $50 for a weekend essentially.
Yeah.
And that's where I started learning. I did that for about 6-8 years.
Do they have those competitions like here in South Florida? Like where are those competitions
for
held?
autocross?
Yeah.
I haven't been in that area in a while, but Street Racing May Safe, it's one of the organizations that run them, and they do it at Homestead. But I'm sure there's other organizations in other areas that do it. But yeah, it's very common, and they even have nationals and, you know, state and regional championships on them.
Did you finish up like were you like, because there's some kids like they're in high school and like they find something and it's like, all right, I'm done with high school. Did you continue on with school, finish up school, and then the focus was racing?
No, I did a lot more, as in like, so I went to FIU.
Yeah.
I love doing the autocross, and I love doing racing, but I would see it as completely out of my reach, you know, like I would do it for fun as a hobby and as an amateur, but nothing that I could see myself doing as a career.
Yeah.
Essentially because I started late, and you need a lot of money when you start, because it's not like you can get sponsors without doing anything. So basically I went to college. I graduated as computer science, but I started a parts business while I was in college, and I was just growing that company to essentially be able to fund more of the fun stuff of racing. And as I went through, I got married, I had kids. So it was one of those, like, okay, now I have to, you know, make sure to provide for my family.
Yeah.
Racing was always like, I wanted to do it, but, you know, it wouldn't be responsible for me to go that route. Until eventually I was in a position that, okay, the company can help me finance some of it. But it was still a hobby thing, until eventually one of the guys that I was an instructor for during the track days, he reached out to me. He said that they needed a driver for a competition in Homestead. And I'm like, you know, I'm in. It's a free ride, so why not, right? And we ended up getting second on that first race. And that basically opened up the world to me, because I was like, I'm actually okay at this. Like I can win races. I can, you know, do good. And that's when I decided to, okay, let's spend some money to actually get a car and race under our own name, our own brand, and see how far it would take us.
That's so cool. So, I mean, listen, it's a point where like so many young people, they have this option to like do the day job or whatever, do the regular job in the 9 to 5, or like completely invest in yourself and like your own growth.
Yeah. I held some jobs when I was in college.
Yeah.
But it was also like I always wanted to work a lot, and you know, you only get X amount of hours in a job.
Yeah.
So I was always trying to find a way to do something and you know, obviously make more money. So that's when I started the parts business, and it was, you know, 16, 18 hours a day, just fully on it, until it got to a point like, okay, I'm growing something that can be bigger eventually.
Yeah, they could sustain, and then you start getting into the racing in 2022.
Yeah. I still did more of you know, track days and whatnot, but more as a hobby. But the first race that I held was in 2020. Like actually,
2020.
Yeah, 2020, 2021.
Wow.
Yeah.
And then you had wild success. I mean, you're winning. You're getting second place, and you're getting first place. And
yeah,
how did you rise through the ranks to get to this point where, you know, you are traveling and this is like your career?
So when I did the first races in FARA, when the guy that I used to instruct with told me about it, I still did some more races with him. But at the same time, I started looking for cars. I started looking to see what I needed to have my own team and do more. And NASA, which is essentially SCCA, is also another organization that does wheel-to-wheel racing, was essentially the most accessible one. And I found a C5 Corvette that was an ex-race car from one of the guys that I knew from instructing back in the day. And I basically I bought that car, and I'm like, let's give it a shot, see how far we can take it. So the first race that I did on my own team, my own car, was in Daytona. By team, I meant me and another guy.
Yeah, sure.
Like,
That's your team. That's it.
When you start, basically, that's what you can afford, and that's how you start. And I haven't driven Daytona in about 3 years.
Yeah.
So we got there late, missed a couple practices, had issues with the car, but eventually we found ourselves in the first sprint, and we qualified. I think it was like 8th or 9th on timing, but within the first few laps, I found myself on second place, and we led second for almost the whole race until towards the end. That we lost a slave cylinder, so I couldn't shift the gears anymore. Last couple of laps, so we ended up like 4th or 5th. But that was the first race that I did on my own car and everything. And that's like, okay, we have a shot here too. If we make this car reliable enough, we can actually do good. And that was a championship race too. So basically everybody from out of state was racing, or from out of the US was racing on that. So that was 21, 22, and I decided, okay, let's go through this car through on the off season, make sure we make it reliable and good, and next year we're coming for that championship. So we did. We basically upgraded everything that was to make the car reliable, and we started the championship that next year, and we got first place on our first
Wow, that's unbelievable.
for first race, and we got a bunch of first places, which eventually gave us that championship. And it kind of opened up. Same thing, I never thought that I was going to be good enough to actually be winning races, let alone championships.
Yeah.
But when that happened, it was kind of like an eye-opener. It's like, okay, this is something that I can do. But at the same time, you're trying to find sponsors, trying to find a way to sustain it, and obviously without you having to dump a bunch of money into it. And that's when drifting kind of like came along. When I would do drift events, the amount of people, companies, it's just a lot more exposure.
Yeah.
Which is essentially why I ended up going through from racing into drifting, just because more doors opened up, and
Yeah.
I had like a bigger opportunity essentially.